Over to Elvis.
Yes, Renee. Now, the ANC Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to arrive at Luthuli House for his weekly Monday meeting. Now, as you know, the stakes are high and temperatures are rising outside the ANC's headquarters in Joburg. On the opposite sides of Helen Joseph streets, we believe a small group of #Occupy Luthuli House protesters are staring down at the members of Mkhonto Sizwe that are lined up outside the entrance of Luthuli House. Police are on high alert as the protesters have crossed the streets and singing and dancing at least once this morning. Now, for the latest on this, to find out what is happening, Griselda Lewis is standing by. Very good morning to you, Griselda. Can you tell us what is going down there at Luthuli House?
Well, the visuals that you're seeing are live at the Beyers Naude Square here in the Johannesburg CBD, where you see that marchers from the #Occupy Luthuli House have gathered here. They've not moved since this morning. They were supposed to leave this area at about 8 o'clock this morning and move towards the headquarters of the ANC. But what we're hearing from them at this point is that they're saying that they're being intimidated by members of the MK-MVA who have been lining or making a line outside the headquarters of the ANC since this morning. But what we can tell you at this point is that the top 6 meeting is scheduled to get underway any minute now. We did see the convoy of the Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa arriving, as well as the chairperson of the ANC, Baleka Mbete, as well. So we're expecting that meeting to go ahead as scheduled. The meeting that takes place every Monday by the top 6 to go ahead. And these marchers behind us at the moment are saying that they're feeling a bit intimidated. They're waiting for a report from the police on how to proceed. You'd know that they want to hand over a memorandum of demands, of course, which include that President Jacob Zuma resign, as well as the Fees Commission to be disbanded, as well as the NEC itself to resign. Let's chat now to one of the organizers to find out what the latest is regarding this particular march. Ronald Lamola, thank you very much for your time today. What is the status at the moment regarding the march? You've been gathered here at Beyers Naude Square for quite some time. Are you going to hand over this memorandum of demands?
Yes, we had arranged with the SG. As you can see, these are very peaceful demonstrators. They have even said they can walk naked to show that they are not armed with any stone or even an OCAP. And the Secretary General had agreed that he's going to receive the memorandum, but unfortunately the private militia, the MK-MVA, has stopped comrades from going to deliver the memorandum because the SG wanted to take it before it goes to the top 6 meeting. It is very unfortunate that in a democratic society, people want to stop people from expressing their views. But it's also shocking, why do we still have an MK-MVA in this age? Because what we need in this country is a weapon that can fight. It's free education. That is the weapon that we need, because we are in an economic struggle. We need tablets, we need ballpoints. We no longer need this thing of the MK-MVA. And that is what young people must be given. They must not be given weapons and alcohol and all manner of things. Young people want free education. They say President Zuma is an obstacle for us to achieve our economic freedom objective. Therefore, that is the call.
But are you hopeful at all? We see the large police contingent in front of the entrance at Luthuli House, as well as the MK-MVA members who've been marching towards the direction where you are. Has there been any communication from inside the headquarters at all, if you will be able to submit this?
Yes, there has been communications, and the police have went back to communicate with the SG and the head of security. They will come back to tell us how we're going to deal with the matter, because we don't see anything wrong with submitting a memorandum. In fact, the state, we are shocked even why the state must be able to intimidate, and even the MK-MVA, because this then create a barricade between the members of the ANC and the society as a whole. And we are just here to communicate a message from members of society, from the ANC, from members of the ANC, and all concerned South Africans, that the country is on an autopilot. And the way the ANC is being run now is not only a threat to itself, but it's also a threat to the country as a whole, and it's a threat to the economic, military, and any other political stability of the country. So we need to put our house in order. That is what we are here for, to demand the restoration of the values of the organization.
Speaking to the ANC Youth League president a bit earlier on while he was addressing journalists, he did say that any member of the ANC Youth League who is participating in this march will face disciplinary action. Your thoughts on that?
Remember, he doesn't have legitimacy. He's not a member of the Youth League himself. How do you lead a structure you are not a member of? He's not a member of the Youth League. He has no right to speak on behalf of the Youth League. And you know that he was elected in a fraudulent Congress. In fact, it's a kind of lazy thinking that people must be intimidated to suppress views with DC, using bureaucratic structures to suppress. And what we are seeing here today is exactly that people are threatened. There's an environment of fears, economic scaring people, tactics of intimidation, and all kinds of things. And that's why the ANC can't rediscover itself. It can't get the creative views of its members because of intimidation. How ill-disciplined is a peaceful demonstration? How can you justify that a peaceful demonstration is an act of ill-discipline?
So are you saying that you would challenge any action that has been taken against ANC Youth League members who are then summoned perhaps to appear before a disciplinary hearing as such?
There is no constitutional basis. These guys are exercising their constitutional right as members of the ANC, as members of society. Chris Hani submitted the Morogoro Memorandum. He submitted it directly to President O.R. Tambo. He was they nearly subjected him to the military tribunal where they wanted to sentence him to death. But sanity prevailed in O.R. Tambo, and he created a platform for members of the organization who were concerned that the organization has taken a tangent. And this is a Morogoro moment. This is what we need. We have accepted that internal structures have failed the movement, and people, the organization, and also those who have, the 3 million people who did not vote, also have a say in how the ANC must be run, and also those 10 million that have voted or 8 million that have voted for the ANC. They must find a way of expressing their views about how the ANC is run, because they are not members. You will not find them in a branch meeting of the ANC. That is what members and leaders of the ANC must begin to appreciate. We are no longer operating underground. This is a transparent society. Any underground movement was unbanned by FW de Klerk in 1990. People now must freely express their views.
You know, Mr. Lamola, some would say you are one of those disgruntled, bitter members of the ANC, following on your days from the ANC Youth League. Those sentiments were shared by the president of the ANC Youth League. Some were saying you are part of this contingent to bring anarchy, as they say, into the African National Congress.
I mean, I will be shocked. I mean, where have you seen a happy revolution in the world? Any revolution.
Are you bitter?
Any revolution that has happened anywhere in the world, Crisalda, has happened because people were concerned about something. And we are concerned, we are angry, we are bitter about Nkandla, we are bitter about the Constitutional Court, we are bitter about the 700 charges and all those things. So as members, that's why we are concerned. We are very angry indeed. There's never been a happy revolution. Even here in South Africa, the ANC was formed because people were angry that they were displaced from their land. They were displaced from their motherland. That's why they stood up. But you can't say these other young members are bitter. All these members who are here, you can look at them, they are concerned members of the ANC, worried, rank and file of the ANC. The only thing that we have done is to give them a platform to express their concerns and their views. So there is no struggle that will not emerge out of anger, Criselda.
Moving forward from here, once you've handed over that memorandum of demands, what is your expectation from the leadership of the ANC? You say that you failed in trying to get to their attention the list of demands that you have. How certain are you that the piece of paper which you will then hand over to one of the leaders of the ANC would get those demands addressed?
What must happen is that members of the ANC countrywide must revolt. They must demand the immediate resignation of President Zuma and the NEC.
But aren't there proper processes within the African National Congress to do that?
The proper processes have failed, Crisalda. You have seen how the Constitutional Court ruling was micromanaged. We have seen how the Gupta investigation was whitewashed. We have seen how the state capture issue was whitewashed. So those are clearly typical examples of the internal processes. And even now, I have found out that the whole RGC's processes that are happening throughout the country are a farce, because people are told that we have lost elections because of weather. And we did not lose elections because of weather. We lost elections because of Jacob Zuma. They must be clear, they must be open. It's not a secret. All South Africans know it, but they are telling us about self-introspection, and so there's no need to self-introspect. We know the problem. The problem is President Jacob Zuma.
But at what point, did the ANC, in your view, reach this point where you're literally finding the ANC marching against itself?
It has reached this point when the ANC ignored its constitution, it ignores its own guidelines, it ignores all internal democratic processes. I mean, Mangaung in the Free State, comrades went to court. It was declared by the Constitutional Court that the process to the Congress was fraudulent. Comrades in KwaZulu-Natal have went to court as we speak now because they've been failed by internal processes. The recent local government elections has got a plethora of people who are still concerned even now, their dispute have not yet been resolved. So what we are calling for is the restoration of the values of the ANC, those of O.R. Tambo, of Thabo Mbeki, of Albert Lithuli, and to confirm the constitution and follow guidelines.
Mr. Ronald Lamola, they're one of the organizers of the hashtag Occupy Luthuli House campaign, or protesters joining us there, certainly saying that they're still hopeful that they will be able to hand over that list of demands. Well, the understanding that we have from inside Luthuli House at this point is there's been no discussion at this stage as to who will accept that memorandum of demands from these protesters here outside. They're yet to move from the Beyers Naude Square, where they've gathered since this morning. The understanding is that they've had discussions with the South African Police Service to try and get them towards the area where members of the MK-MVA as well as a large police contingent remain in front of the entrance of Luthuli House. As to exactly what time that will take place, I'm just going to turn towards my left here. There seems to be a briefing that is taking place here at the moment. Let me just walk towards it at the moment. Perhaps some feedback on how these protesters from the hashtag Occupy Luthuli House will proceed here this morning, and perhaps feedback from the police that they will be able to march from this point to Luthuli House. One of the organizers seems to be addressing some of the protesters here as well. It doesn't seem they've taken a resolution at all on whether to start proceeding from the Beyers Naude Square, where they've been stationed here since this morning. And it certainly seems that, at this point, they seem to be moving towards the direction of Luthuli House. I do not see any of the police officers that were scheduled to accompany them move from this particular area. What certainly does seem to be a minor confrontation at this stage between some of the protesters who are charging towards the entrance, or rather towards the building at Luthuli House. There seems to be some discontent here about the way forward and how exactly these organizers, police, it seems, will give some feedback on how the hashtag Occupy Luthuli House protesters will move forward. But what the police seem to be doing now is preventing them from moving from the area where they have been at the Beyers Naude Square. And police at this stage are yet to give any feedback about how these protesters will proceed at this stage. So they remain at the Beyers Naude Square. Let's hand back to you in studio for now.
Griselda, that was Griselda Lewis live at Beyers Naude Square, just around the corner there from the Luthuli House. And as you can see, the protesters being prevented from moving in. A question was earlier raised by one of the ANC members from the Free State as to who these people are. Well, you have the answer to that question. Ron Lamola is one of the members there joining the hashtag Occupy Luthuli House. That is the question that we also posed to you this morning. What do you make of the shenanigans happening currently at Luthuli House, and how do you view this Occupy Luthuli House protest? You can send us your comments on the hashtag on the Twitter handle at SABC Newsroom, as well as on the Facebook page.